Cleopatra. The name echoes through history. She is an icon, a legend, a queen shrouded in mystery and intrigue. Her story is one of power, love, and tragedy. Cleopatra was the last pharaoh of ancient Egypt. She was a ruler of immense intelligence, charm, and political prowess. Cleopatra's life has captivated historians and storytellers for centuries. She was a woman who defied expectations. In a world dominated by men, she rose to become one of the most powerful rulers of her time. But her story is not just about political intrigue. It is also a story of love and loss. Cleopatra's relationships with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony shaped the course of history. They were relationships that were both passionate and politically charged, ultimately leading to her downfall. Cleopatra's story is a complex tapestry woven from fact and fiction. Over the centuries, her image has been both revered and vilified. She has been portrayed as a seductive temptress, a ruthless manipulator, and a brilliant strategist. To understand Cleopatra, we must first understand the world she lived in. Cleopatra was born in 69 BC into the Ptolemaic dynasty. The Ptolemies were of Greek origin. They ruled Egypt after the death of Alexander the Great. By Cleopatra's time, the Ptolemaic dynasty was in decline. Egypt was a client state of Rome, a rising power in the Mediterranean. Cleopatra was a keen observer of politics. She understood the delicate balance of power between Egypt and Rome. She also understood the importance of maintaining her grip on the Egyptian throne. The Ptolemaic dynasty was plagued by internal strife. Power struggles and betrayals were common. Cleopatra witnessed this firsthand. Her own father, Ptolemy XII, had been driven from the throne by his own people. He was only restored to power with the help of Rome. Cleopatra learned from her father's mistakes. She would use all her cunning and intelligence to survive in the treacherous world of Ptolemaic politics. Cleopatra ascended to the throne at the age of 18, ruling jointly with her younger brother, Ptolemy XIII. Their reign was marked by conflict and power struggles. Cleopatra was a capable ruler, but she faced opposition from her brother and his advisors. They saw her as a threat to their own ambitions. In 48 BC, Julius Caesar arrived in Egypt, pursuing his rival, Pompey the Great. Pompey had been defeated in battle and sought refuge in Egypt. Ptolemy XIII, hoping to curry favor with Caesar, had Pompey assassinated. However, this backfired spectacularly. Caesar was outraged by the murder of his rival on Egyptian soil. He saw it as a grave insult. Cleopatra seized this opportunity. She secretly met with Caesar, appealing for his support. Caesar was immediately smitten with the young queen. He agreed to help her regain control of Egypt. Their alliance would have far-reaching consequences, both for Egypt and for Rome. Cleopatra's relationship with Caesar was both a political alliance and a passionate love affair. She bore him a son, Caesarion. Caesar supported Cleopatra's claim to the Egyptian throne. He helped her defeat her brother's forces, securing her position as the sole ruler of Egypt. Under Cleopatra's rule, Egypt experienced peace and prosperity. Cleopatra was a shrewd ruler. She understood the importance of trade and diplomacy. She worked to restore Egypt's economy. She sought to strengthen Egypt's relationship with Rome. However, Caesar's assassination in 44 BC threw Rome into chaos. It also left Cleopatra in a precarious position. She had lost her powerful protector. The future of Egypt and her own fate now hung in the balance. Cleopatra needed to find a new ally. That ally would come in the form of Mark Antony. Their relationship would prove to be even more passionate and ultimately more destructive. After Caesar's assassination, Rome was in turmoil. A power struggle erupted between Caesar's assassins and his supporters, led by Mark Antony and Octavian, Caesar's adopted son. Mark Antony was a seasoned general and a charismatic leader. He had been a close friend and ally of Caesar. After Caesar's death, Antony quickly moved to consolidate his power. He seized control of Rome and formed an alliance with Octavian and Marcus Lepidus, another of Caesar's supporters. This alliance, known as the Second Triumvirate, aimed to avenge Caesar's death and restore order to Rome. Antony was given control of the eastern provinces of the Roman Republic, which included Egypt. This would prove to be a fateful assignment, as it would bring him into contact with Cleopatra. In 41 BC, Mark Antony summoned Cleopatra to Tarsus, a city in what is now modern-day Turkey. He wanted to meet the Egyptian queen and assess her loyalty to Rome. Cleopatra, ever the strategist, saw this as an opportunity to secure her own position and that of Egypt. She arrived in Tarsus in grand style, sailing up the Cydnus River on a magnificent barge. Cleopatra knew how to make an entrance. She presented herself as the embodiment of the goddess Isis, a powerful image that resonated with both Egyptians and Romans. Antony was captivated. He was drawn to Cleopatra's intelligence, her charm, and her undeniable power. Their meeting was the beginning of a political and romantic alliance that would last for over a decade and have profound consequences for the Roman world. Cleopatra and Antony's relationship quickly blossomed into a passionate love affair. They spent the winter of 41 to 40 BC together in Alexandria, indulging in the city's legendary luxury and splendor. It was during this time that Cleopatra revealed she was pregnant with Antony's child. The birth of their twins, Alexander Helios and Cleopatra Selene II, further cemented their bond. In 36 BC, Antony returned to Rome to deal with growing tensions with Octavian. However, he couldn't stay away from Cleopatra for long. He soon returned to the east, and in 34 BC, he and Cleopatra held a lavish ceremony in Alexandria known as the Donations of Alexandria. During this ceremony, Antony declared Caesarion to be Caesar's legitimate heir, and granted Cleopatra and her children vast territories in the east. This act infuriated Antony's enemies in Rome, who saw it as a betrayal of Roman interests. Cleopatra, with Antony's support, effectively became the ruler of a vast Eastern empire. She used her newfound power and wealth to restore ancient monuments, promote trade, and solidify her image as a powerful and benevolent ruler. Cleopatra was a shrewd diplomat and a skilled administrator. She understood the importance of maintaining good relations with the various client kingdoms and rulers under her control. She also worked to revive Egyptian culture and traditions, which had been suppressed under Ptolemaic rule. Cleopatra's reign, though marked by political turmoil, was a time of cultural and economic flourishing for Egypt. She proved herself to be a capable and ambitious ruler, determined to restore Egypt to its former glory. Cleopatra and Antony's relationship was a source of endless fascination and scandal in Rome. Their love affair was seen as a threat to Roman morality and to the stability of the Republic. Octavian, Antony's rival for power, skillfully exploited this sentiment, using it to turn public opinion against Antony. He portrayed Antony as being under Cleopatra's spell, a puppet dancing to the tune of a foreign queen. In 31 BC, the tensions between Antony and Octavian finally erupted into open warfare. The two former allies met in a decisive naval battle at Actium, off the coast of Greece. Antony's forces were defeated, and he and Cleopatra were forced to flee back to Egypt. The Battle of Actium marked a turning point in Roman history and in Cleopatra's life. It signaled the end of Antony's dreams of power and the beginning of Cleopatra's tragic downfall. The Battle of Actium was a disaster for Antony and Cleopatra. Their forces, once thought invincible, were crushed by Octavian's fleet. The defeat sent shockwaves throughout the Roman world. Antony and Cleopatra fled back to Egypt, their dreams of a shared empire shattered. The defeat at Actium had a devastating effect on Antony's morale. He had lost more than just a battle. He had lost his reputation, his confidence, and his grip on power. Cleopatra, however, remained resolute. She was determined to protect her kingdom and her children even in the face of overwhelming odds. She knew that Octavian would not rest until he had captured her and Antony. She began to make preparations for a final stand, gathering her remaining forces and fortifying her palace in Alexandria. Section 2. The Walls Close In. Octavian, now the undisputed master of Rome, turned his attention to Egypt. He saw Cleopatra as a threat, a symbol of resistance that needed to be crushed. He also knew that Antony, despite his defeat, still commanded the loyalty of many Roman legions. Octavian marched his legions across Egypt, meeting little resistance. He laid siege to Alexandria, trapping Antony and Cleopatra within the city walls. Antony, desperate to salvage some shred of honor, made a last-ditch effort to break the siege. He led a cavalry charge against Octavian's lines but was repulsed. Returning to Alexandria, defeated and demoralized, Antony received false news that Cleopatra was dead. Overcome with grief and despair, he took his own life. Section 3. A Serpent's Kiss. Cleopatra was devastated by Antony's death. She had lost her lover, her protector, and the father of her children. She knew that Octavian would show her no mercy. She would be taken back to Rome in chains, paraded through the streets as a captive, and likely executed. Cleopatra refused to let this happen. She chose to die on her own terms, as a queen. According to legend, Cleopatra allowed herself to be bitten by an asp, a venomous snake. She died in her palace in Alexandria, surrounded by her loyal handmaidens. Her death, shrouded in mystery and drama, has become the stuff of legend. Some historians believe that Cleopatra may have used a poison, rather than a snakebite, to end her life. Regardless of the method, Cleopatra's death marked the end of an era. Section 4. Legacy of Love and Loss. Cleopatra's death marked the end of the Ptolemaic dynasty and the absorption of Egypt into the Roman Empire. She was the last pharaoh of ancient Egypt, a ruler who had fought fiercely to preserve her kingdom's independence. Cleopatra's legacy, however, extends far beyond the political realm. She is remembered as a woman of immense intelligence, charm, and ambition. Her relationships with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony have captivated imaginations for centuries, inspiring countless works of art, literature, and film. Cleopatra's story is a potent reminder of the enduring power of love, ambition, and the human desire for freedom. Cleopatra was a complex and controversial figure in Roman history. She was both admired and feared, seen as a threat to Roman power and a symbol of exotic allure. Roman historians, writing under the patronage of the emperors who had defeated Antony and Cleopatra, often portrayed her in a negative light. She was depicted as a cunning manipulator, a seductress who used her beauty and charm to ensnare powerful men. She was also accused of being power-hungry, of putting her own ambitions above the interests of her people. This negative image of Cleopatra persisted for centuries, influencing later portrayals of her in Western art and literature. While Roman historians painted Cleopatra as a cunning seductress and a threat to their republic, the view from the East was markedly different. In Egypt, Cleopatra was revered as a wise and benevolent ruler, a pharaoh who had brought prosperity and stability to her kingdom. She was seen as the embodiment of the goddess Isis, a powerful symbol of motherhood, magic, and resurrection. Egyptian sources celebrated Cleopatra's intelligence, her diplomatic skills, and her dedication to her people. They praised her efforts to revive Egyptian culture and traditions, which had been suppressed under Ptolemaic rule. To her own people, Cleopatra was not a traitor who had consorted with foreign powers, but a queen who had fought tirelessly to defend her kingdom's independence against the encroaching might of Rome. They remembered her as a ruler who had brought peace and prosperity to Egypt, a golden age that ended with her tragic death. The Roman portrayal of Cleopatra often reduced her to a mere love interest in the lives of Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. They focused on her beauty, her charm, and her supposed ability to manipulate powerful men with her feminine wiles. This interpretation ignored the complex political realities of Cleopatra's reign and her role as a shrewd strategist and diplomat. Cleopatra was not a passive bystander in the events that shaped her life. She was an active participant, making calculated decisions to secure her own power and that of her kingdom. She understood the power dynamics of her time and used them to her advantage, forming alliances and navigating the treacherous waters of Roman politics with remarkable skill. To reduce her to a mere love interest is to diminish her legacy and ignore the complexities of her reign. The clash between Roman and Egyptian cultures played a significant role in shaping how Cleopatra was perceived. The Romans, with their patriarchal society and emphasis on military might, often viewed the Egyptians as decadent and effeminate. Cleopatra's embrace of Egyptian traditions, her status as a female pharaoh, and her relationships with powerful Roman generals challenged Roman sensibilities. They saw her as a threat to their values and their way of life. The Romans also had a long history of prejudice against women in positions of power. Cleopatra's intelligence, her political acumen, and her assertive nature made her a target of misogynistic attacks. Roman historians often attributed her successes to manipulation and seduction, refusing to acknowledge her genuine political skills and leadership qualities. Octavian, the ultimate victor in the Roman Civil War, understood the power of propaganda. He used it effectively to discredit his enemies, particularly Antony and Cleopatra. Octavian painted Antony as a weak-willed pawn in Cleopatra's hands, a Roman general who had betrayed his country for the love of a foreign queen. This narrative served Octavian's political goals, allowing him to justify his war against Antony and his annexation of Egypt. The negative image of Cleopatra that emerged from Roman propaganda persisted for centuries, influencing Western perceptions of her and shaping her legacy in the annals of history. It is only in recent times that historians have begun to challenge these traditional interpretations, offering a more nuanced and balanced view of Cleopatra as a ruler, a diplomat, and a woman who defied the conventions of her time. Despite centuries of negative portrayals, Cleopatra's story continues to fascinate and inspire. In recent years, there has been a growing movement to reclaim Cleopatra's legacy, to see her not through the lens of Roman propaganda, but as a powerful and intelligent ruler who navigated a complex and dangerous world. Scholars are re-examining ancient sources, both Egyptian and Roman, to reconstruct a more accurate picture of Cleopatra's life and reign. They are exploring her cultural and intellectual achievements, her role as a diplomat and administrator, and her efforts to preserve her kingdom's independence in the face of Roman expansionism. This reassessment of Cleopatra's legacy challenges traditional historical narratives and offers a more nuanced and empowering perspective on one of history's most captivating figures. Cleopatra's image in popular culture often focuses on her beauty and romantic entanglements. However, this portrayal overlooks a crucial aspect of her character, her intellect. Cleopatra was not just a beautiful queen, she was a scholar, a patroness of knowledge, and a woman of remarkable intellectual curiosity. She was fluent in multiple languages, including Egyptian, Greek, Ethiopian, and Persian, a rarity for rulers of that time. This linguistic prowess allowed her to engage directly with ambassadors and dignitaries from various cultures, enhancing her diplomatic skills and fostering understanding across different civilizations. Cleopatra's commitment to education and intellectual pursuits set her apart from many rulers of her era. She understood that knowledge was power, and she used her position to foster a thriving intellectual atmosphere in Alexandria, cementing its reputation as a center of learning in the ancient world. Cleopatra recognized the importance of attracting scholars, philosophers, and thinkers to Alexandria. She generously funded the Library of Alexandria, ensuring its continued growth and development as a repository of knowledge. The library, already a renowned institution, flourished under her patronage. She invited prominent scholars from across the ancient world to Alexandria, providing them with stipends, housing, and access to the library's vast resources. Cleopatra's court was a hub of intellectual discourse where philosophers debated ethics, mathematicians explored new theorems, and astronomers charted the movements of the stars. Cleopatra herself actively participated in these discussions, demonstrating her genuine thirst for knowledge and her sharp intellect. The Library of Alexandria was not just a repository of scrolls, it was a research institution, a university, and a symbol of Alexandria's intellectual dominance. Cleopatra understood the importance of preserving and expanding this knowledge base. She sent expeditions to far-off lands to acquire rare texts, adding to the library's already impressive collection. Cleopatra also supported the work of the library's scholars, encouraging them to translate foreign texts into Greek, making knowledge accessible to a wider audience. The library, under Cleopatra's reign, became a melting pot of ideas, where scholars from different cultures and disciplines came together to share their knowledge and push the boundaries of human understanding. Cleopatra's intellectual pursuits extended beyond literature and philosophy. She was deeply interested in science, particularly mathematics, astronomy, and medicine. Ancient sources suggest that Cleopatra conducted experiments, possibly in the fields of cosmetics and medicine, although the exact nature of her research remains unclear. Her interest in these fields demonstrates a mind that was not content with merely ruling a kingdom. She sought to understand the workings of the natural world, and to apply that knowledge to practical problems. Cleopatra's intellectual curiosity challenged the gender stereotypes of her time. She refused to be confined to the traditional roles assigned to women, proving that a woman could be both a powerful ruler and a brilliant intellectual. Cleopatra's reign may have been short-lived, but her impact on Alexandria's intellectual life was profound and long-lasting. She left behind a legacy of scholarship, a thriving intellectual community, and a library that stood as a beacon of knowledge for centuries. Though much of the Library of Alexandria was tragically destroyed in a series of fires, its legend continues to inspire scholars and dreamers alike. Cleopatra's commitment to education and her own intellectual pursuits serve as a reminder that true power lies not just in military might or political maneuvering, but also in the pursuit of knowledge, the fostering of intellectual curiosity, and the preservation of cultural heritage. Cleopatra's story reminds us that intelligence, curiosity, and a thirst for knowledge transcend time and circumstance. Cleopatra's beauty is legendary. It's a tale as old as time. She was said to have captivated the hearts of the most powerful men in the world, Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, with her stunning looks. But how much of this is historical fact, and how much is romantic exaggeration? The truth is, we may never know the full extent of Cleopatra's beauty. Ancient sources offer conflicting accounts of her appearance. Some describe her as irresistibly beautiful, while others focus more on her charm, intelligence, and charisma. Roman historians, often biased against Cleopatra, tended to emphasize her seductive qualities, portraying her as a temptress who used her beauty as a weapon. They sought to diminish her political acumen by attributing her successes to her looks. However, Egyptian sources paint a different picture, highlighting her regal bearing, her intelligence, and her devotion to her kingdom. No definitive portraits of Cleopatra survive to this day. We have only a handful of Roman busts and coins that offer tantalizing glimpses of what she might have looked like. These images, however, are subject to artistic interpretation and the political biases of the time. Some historians believe that Cleopatra may not have conformed to modern standards of beauty. Ancient coins depict her with a prominent nose, a strong jawline, and a determined expression. These features, far from diminishing her appeal, may have been seen as signs of strength and authority in ancient Egypt. Ultimately, attempting to reconstruct Cleopatra's physical appearance based on fragmented and biased sources is a futile exercise. Her true beauty, it seems, lay not in her physical attributes but in her intellect, her charisma, and her undeniable presence, qualities that captivated those around her and continue to fascinate us today. Section 3. Beyond the Stereotype. For centuries, Cleopatra has been defined by her relationships with men, her beauty often overshadowing her political acumen and intellectual prowess. It's time to move beyond this reductive stereotype. Cleopatra was a shrewd diplomat, a skilled negotiator, and a visionary leader who steered Egypt through a turbulent period. She was fluent in multiple languages, a patron of the arts and sciences, and a devoted mother. To focus solely on her beauty is to disregard her accomplishments. Cleopatra's story is a testament to the power of human resilience and ambition. Her story deserves to be told and retold, not just as a tale of beauty, but as a testament to her legacy. Section 4. The Enduring Allure. Why does the myth of Cleopatra's beauty persist? Her story taps into our fascination with power, love, and tragedy. Cleopatra's life had all the elements of a Shakespearean drama. Her relationships with Caesar and Antony fueled gossip and intrigue, It's easy to imagine Cleopatra as a woman of unparalleled beauty, but this narrative diminishes her agency and ignores historical realities. Cleopatra was a woman of exceptional intelligence and political savvy. She used her charm and intellect to navigate Roman politics. Her story remains a testament to the power of a woman who challenged the status quo. Section 1. The Enduring Legacy of Cleopatra. Cleopatra's story is a potent reminder that history is rarely black and white. It's a tapestry woven from countless perspectives, interpretations, and biases. For centuries, Cleopatra's image has been refracted through the lens of Roman propaganda, her story told by the victors who sought to diminish her achievements and justify their conquest of Egypt. But as we delve deeper into the historical record, examining both Egyptian and Roman sources with a critical eye, a more nuanced picture emerges. Cleopatra was not simply a seductive temptress or a pawn in the games of powerful men. She was a shrewd strategist, a skilled diplomat, a patroness of the arts and sciences, and a devoted mother who fought tirelessly to protect her kingdom and her people. Her story is a testament to the complexities of human ambition, the enduring power of love and loss, and the challenges faced by women in positions of power throughout history. Cleopatra's legacy continues to captivate and inspire us today. Her image adorns everything from Hollywood movies to perfume bottles, a testament to her enduring allure. But beyond the glamour and the romantic legends, there lies a story of resilience, intelligence, and unwavering determination. Cleopatra's story reminds us that even in the face of overwhelming odds, even when surrounded by enemies, one person can make a difference. Her legacy challenges us to question traditional narratives, to look beyond simplistic stereotypes, and to recognize the power and agency of women throughout history. Cleopatra's story, in all its complexity and tragedy, continues to resonate with us because it reminds us that history is not just a collection of names and dates, it's a tapestry woven from the lives of real people who loved, lost, dreamed, and dared to challenge the course of history.